we need to talk about Harmony of Minds. Harmony of Minds is a mental health initiative that brings about mental health awareness and mental health advocacy through the creative art and the creative industry. However, Harmony of Minds podcast is when we talk about stories from the creativity sector. It could be poetry, it could be music, it could be art, it could be design, it could be architecture. We do not segregate. And today we are having an amazing person today with us. She's called Maya, and she's going to be talking about herself some more. Yes, Maya.
Hi, thanks for
Please.
having me, Kobusenji. My
Happy
name
to
is
see you.
Maya.
Yes.
And I run a Kipepeo agency, which is an artist management and bookings agency based between Uganda and Kenya. And I'm happy to be here and talk more about what's going on with mental health of creatives.
Wow. That is so amazing. Like, when we had our last engagement on Art for Social Engagement, we really talked a lot about mental health in the creative sector and how, as creatives, we need to put into account our own mental health, our mental wellness, because sometimes there's too much pressure with as an artist, you have to think about creativity, you have to think about your personal life, you have to think about all of these other things, and we have not learned the work-life balance. And as someone that has worked with diverse artists, how have you seen this play out?
Yeah, I feel like it's also like we talked so much about it at the last event. So that's why it was natural to come and continue the conversation when we talked. Yeah, let's continue. So the way I see it now for creatives, like some of the issues you've said, like I think work-life balance is a really big one. I think we can start from there because as a creative, your work and your brand, your product is really yourself. So it's very hard to be like, okay, when am I Kobusenji, the artist? When am I Kobusenji, the person, And to differentiate those things and like even relations of how you meet people. Are you meeting them in a professional way or is it just friendship? Like, because the lines can be really blurred. So that's one thing. Another thing I think that contributes to it is a lot of times we work in different environments and different times than what people would think of the typical working hours. So like someone who is a banker or I don't know, works in a telecommunications company, they just, have a normal kind of 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 life. And they know like once I step out of the building, I'm done for the day and tomorrow I will resume where I've left off, right? But now when you're a creative, our offices, our phones and our emails and our DMs and social media platforms and all these other spaces, which on the good side, it makes it easier for people to access us. So maybe we're going to find more opportunities than in other days where like there was less communication. But at the same time, it makes it really hard to put a boundary of like, am I going to look at this message someone has sent me at 10 o'clock at night when I'm already in bed because I'm seeing that it's a great opportunity? Or can I have I don't know if it's even like a self-discipline, but like a kindness to yourself to not treat everything as being urgent. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that creatives face because of these blurred lines of, when am I working? When am I not? Who am I? In my spare time, I also have a right to have leisure and disconnect sometimes.
Actually, I have an artist friend of mine that told me, like, he usually performs in the bars, and he's like, for me, the bars is like he's working. Sometimes it's where I meet new fans, it's where I meet all these other people, and then you have to still continue maybe chatting with them, keeping up with them, making sure that you do not lose your fan base. And that sometimes it becomes an overload and burn out to some of the artists, and sometimes you get to find out like some of them they become isolative, and you like checking on them like, oh, I'm there, but like their sound and their voice looks like they're out of touch with what has been happening. Which advice could you give an artist that is probably dealing with that kind of burnout whereby you're trying to keep up with even trends, like it's so disturbing and it's so heavy on an artist because when someone is working in a company, for example, let me say Stanbic, like they have a manager, they have hierarchy, and then as an artist, yes, you can have a manager, you can have a stylist, you can have all these other people, but it still goes back to you, the music, that product. You have to think about it. Is it something that happens with you as a chipepeo, or it's something that you see a lot with even other artists struggle with?
I think burnout is a really big issue for artists. I think, like, yeah, we were saying all these factors that make it hard to distinguish when you can take rest. In the case also of like feeling like you need to keep up with things and put on a persona, it can be really draining. Like the time that you need to spend doing all of these things, and also the money it takes, and you feel like you're also losing a sense of who you really are, because you're just trying to, there's the issue with the digital age is like everything is so fast, and like you can be trending one day and then a week later everyone has moved on to the next thing, and you're like, okay, how do I now stay relevant in this day and age? Because right now the number one thing that we're all chasing is attention. And that's why people go to such extremes of, these kind of clickbaity moments, or doing something scandalous or what, because they're guaranteed to grab people's attention. And that's what we're all needing, not only as creatives, but anyone in business. You need to find people, get some leads, make them customers, and get some income coming in. So the pressure to grab people's attention through those things, like you're saying, of always being seen in different places, whether it's like feeling like you have to go out all the time and be wearing, the most amazing outfits, and just being seen with the right people, like chasing all of this status. Whether it's some people, it's the opposite, where, they don't go out at all because they're constantly become too obsessive about their online personas, and they can't put their phones down, and they're just like constantly, okay, I need to film content, I need to go live, I need to post another TikTok, I need to post a reel, and they forget, to live in the present as well. So I think it's very tricky because, we're being called to do so many different roles and to really work hard to keep people's attention, because our attention is getting worse. So I think some of the things that I personally do with artists is we try to make plans to rest within their schedules. We also talk about, like, what is realistic. Sometimes people put a lot of pressure of like, you need to post every day. You need to be, going to every event to network. You need to be, but think about what is the intention between everything. And like, if you feel like going to that thing, you're gonna see someone you really need to talk to, and it's worth it. But that doesn't mean you need to go to every single thing. Or just because everyone is posting a lot, if it's making you get burnt out to a point where you can't be consistent, you need something that you can consistently do for like months on end, not something that I'm gonna post every day and then in 10 days I'm completely exhausted and then I disappear for 2 months. Because fans don't like when you disappear. So I think it's also about finding a balance between what you can maintain, what's comfortable for you, but also, you have to keep an eye open to other people, like what is trending and things, because also it can be inspiration points for your creativity as well, to respond to other creatives, or you see a trend and you have an idea of how you could put your own spin on it. So I think it's a balancing act.
Oh, wow. So as a creative, a young creative that wants to go into the creative industry of any, caliber or form, what advice could you give them if they find themselves fearing to express who they are authentically? Yes.
I think that is one of the first steps you need to really overcome as a creative, because when you're starting out an artistic journey, like we said, you are your product. So if you don't really understand who you are as a product, yourself personally and yourself as a product, like we said, this dichotomy of having different identities of self. But you need to understand and craft who am I as the product. And you need to understand it very well, because you won't be able to sell something you don't understand. So I think someone who is deciding, like, I think I want to go on this journey as a creative, I think that's one of the first things, is to really understand yourself, and not to say like you need to understand yourself fully at the beginning and that's the end all be all, because I also believe that, you know, we are lifelong learners, and like each time something happens to you, it's like you peel the onion back another layer. They always say like people are complex,
layers,
like we're onions. So every time you peel back another layer and you get to understand until you get to the core. So, but you cannot have the skin on the onion when you're starting. You have to, you know, get a little bit. Because also, I think as consumers, like think about like you as someone who would love to consume someone's music or film or fashion or whatever.
As you become your own fast fan.
Yeah, exactly. And also like for us, we like to, you know, there's a way that you can just understand that someone has an understanding of themselves, and the music or the design, it will just resonate deeper because you don't have to really try. You're just being yourself, right? Like instead of having to follow these trends and things, it's coming organically from, oh, I painted it that way because it felt right to me.
Oh, wow,
or I sang the melody like this because that's what came out of me. Instead of looking and seeing, oh, this one has made it like that. So what if I just, you know, just what is organically coming from inside of you.
So right now in the music industry, we are having a thin line between mainstream media and underground media. And people in the underground media, they are fighting so hard to go into the mainstream. But again, most of the time, they have unique music, unique melody. And because they're fighting so hard to go into the mainstream, they change who they are. So is there any advice that you can give to someone out there that is thinking about, you know, going into the mainstream? Is it something that they should, you know, look into? Should they, because I remember someone told me they had gone mainstream, but they were underground first, and they were like, I lost myself, you know, doing that. And then by the time I came back, like, I had lost the mainstream guys that needed me.
Then you had no one.
And so I had no one. So what kind of advice could you give someone? It could be okay for them to, you know, go for mainstream, but I don't know, what is your take on that?
My take is I wish that the market could develop more so that there could be space for more alternative music and not to all have to feel like we're competing for the same type of audience.
Wow.
Actually, I was just seeing on TikTok the other day, I don't know if you know Kabara Angel. She had a very interesting video about this topic, about people trying to tell her, oh, you need to be more like this. You need to sing in Luganda. It needs to be Chidindali because these people will not get you. And she had a lot to say. I definitely recommend anyone go to her TikTok and watch that video. So it's bringing back those thoughts of when I was, and I saw actually there were so many artists who also commented. Like I saw Akine had commented something supporting her. Lamu had said also something. I was just like going through it like later in bed at night. So yeah, I think that for me, my opinion is, you know, when you look at other markets on a global level, we see, you know, other, besides having like, you know, most other countries will say like pop music is mainstream music, right?
Yes.
So there's so much room for other genres to exist and have really strong fan bases and people who support the artist. Like, so I think that what I would like to see is more appreciation for diverse music. And I'm not quite sure how we do it yet, but I think that this thing of changing to meet the audience, it's not really, because again, it comes down to the thing of what I was saying of like being authentic from something that comes naturally from you. So it's okay to make that music if that's what you feel like, you know. Some people, they are musicians and they wake up and they're like, this is exactly what I want to do. And they have fans who love them and it's amazing for them. But if that's not what you want to make, you're gonna feel like it's actually gonna make you feel resentment towards making that type of music.
True.
And
because it's denying who you are.
And you feel like you have to box yourself in something that, you know, you're just doing it because you feel like you have no other option. But I think that if more artists continue on the path of just staying to what is true to them and also supporting, like, that's the other thing, the industry grows when we support each other. That's what that video I like to see, all these other artists who are in agreement with her, because then it shows that we are actually united, that, you know, we can come together.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Talking about even Kabera's example, can you tell some artists out there that is maybe dealing with that situation of how probably they can brand themselves? I just missed Omex. I need to go for Omex. I don't know if you managed to go.
No, I wasn't there.
You went, oh.
I was at another event also about mental health by the
wow.
Roundabout yesterday.
Roundabout.
Yeah,
I missed it
yeah,
yesterday.
I was that one.
Yeah, I've been missing by the way so many events recently. I should be serious.
Yeah, but also if you need to do other
So,
things, you also
I
need
know.
to look at, you know,
Yeah,
the big picture.
diversity. Yeah, true. So what Johnny, can you give sort of like a roadmap that you can give an artist out there that is struggling with, this is how I'm doing my music, they're not appreciating it. So in every space that I'm going to, they're trying to make me change. They're like, sing like this one. Which roadmap could you possibly give a young artist out there?
Well, I think that it can be tricky because people can be harsh when they don't like what you're doing, and it's not only for musicians, but everyone thinks they're an expert at things that they have no clue about.
True.
Especially, yeah, certain types of people are really, I've had experiences where we were hired to do jobs and then people come in and think they're a director or think that they're an A&R, and you're like, what qualifications do you have? So it can be really tricky with that, like, what is that for the cliche thing of everyone's a critic. So I think it comes down to understanding your why behind what you're doing, because then it helps you to think about, because you can either have a why which is about, you know, who you want to uplift with your music, who you're really singing for. Maybe you know, maybe you're singing because you love, like, someone you love. Maybe it's because of a community you want a message to get to. There can be so many things. But I think that the main thing is to have a strong reason behind, because then you don't get so lost in all these people and why they're telling you all these things. You can let some things have to pass one ear and out the other, because when you take it to, you can't take everything in like that. From the people who really have like your best interest at heart and have, you know, some reputation or qualification, like if it's I don't know, someone who is a really renowned producer or something is telling you some feedback about your musicality, or someone who is a manager and wants to give you advice about your marketing or things, like take those ones who have a right to, you know, have some evidence of why they should, you know, give you advice, besides just, oh, that uncle you saw at the function who doesn't know anything about music.
I know.
So yeah, I think it's hard when you're young, because you can be very eager and, you know, think that everyone is trying to give you advice, and then get overwhelmed with all of this feedback as well. And the other thing, to make the roadmap, I think it's really good also to have mentors. Like that's why I was mentioning, like, take the advice from the people who have been there already, or have you know that they have some credibility, they've worked with people and you've seen the fruits of their labor. So when you have mentors and people who, not necessarily you have to be doing the same, but someone who you can see a bit of
view,
and you get you know, they're further down the path than you, and you can kind of envision how it would be when you get there. Even if, you know, maybe you're not on the same path, but maybe your paths are parallel, or they have a crossing point somewhere. I think that's important. And another thing I learned when I was in the Perform Music Incubator in Kenya with Muthoni Drummer Queen, I really liked this analogy that she taught us, which was to make like a family tree of the different people who would be in your family as you as an artist. So like, if you're a musician, who would be on your tree as your auntie? Maybe you have Erica Badu, maybe you have Jill Scott, maybe you have Miriam Makeba, maybe you know, like, which people do you see that, and you feel like, oh, I am from that same lineage. It's kind of creating like the same way, like in drag they have all these families, like which house are you, and who is your dad, who is your grandfather.
It gives you that footing and that grounding and that rooting of, like, there's something that I can, you know, there's that roadmap that maybe we talked about. Wow, that's really amazing. So I've learned something from that, because sometimes we are so caught up in maybe the criticisms and how we see things happening in our own bubble. But then the moment you look at all these people that inspire you, you read their journey before, and sometimes may not even be, you could be a musician, but then maybe an actor,
Yeah.
you know, maybe a coach, and there's wow, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
But then when the scope of music and how music is done in Kenya and how it's done in Uganda, what I don't want to say comparison, but how do you think? Because one thing that I have gotten to realize is that Kenyans are a little bit aggressive and they're a little bit open-minded. That's something I've gotten from some Kenyan friends that I know. There's a way they have that aggression to, you know, their creativity, and they're so open-minded. There are more spaces. I don't know, has there been a Music Africa conference here in Uganda?
Not yet,
Not
but they
yet.
move it every year.
They
They
move
did
it.
have it in Nairobi some time back. I think it was
Yes.
2017 or 18,
2017.
around that, before COVID. Yeah.
Before COVID. But then, like, how do you think, as now, literally right now I'm talking about like the underground, because obviously the mainstream, I'm talking about the underground, you know, artists, because we are talking to young artists right there, people who want to have alternative forms of music and creativity. What advice could you give? No, sorry, not advice, because we're talking about Kenya and Uganda. What scope of difference do you see between the two, you know, the two industries?
In terms of like the live market, or
in terms of like their market, their aggression, and how they value their artistry, and how there's a way there's that connection, and you know, massive push that they give to their art. What is that connection and, you know, difference? I don't want to call it comparison, but what's the differences? Yes.
Well, I think in Kenya, the industry is more developed in here. It's Nairobi is bigger, and there is, you know, representatives of international companies. Like there's someone for Spotify, there's someone for Apple, there's someone for Boomplay. I think they also had here. I don't remember, but you know, like all these streaming platforms. They have even like more tech companies. So I think firstly, because of that, there is more connection to the international markets. So that's the first thing I would say. Secondly, I think also there is more, here we have like these live band nights and like weekly, like, oh, I know at this day this band is here and that. But I think part of, I don't want to say the issue, but what complicates it for other underground artists is they have kind of flooded the market a little bit, and they also can be, you know, it's people get comfortable with, oh, this band plays here every week and they play these cover songs that I know from the radio that are popular. So it becomes it makes the consumers a bit like, oh, I want what I have I expect already. And maybe it makes it hard to try something new, right? Not trying to bash them, but it does complicate for underground artists who are doing their original music. But then in Nairobi, I would say there is more of this atmosphere of the weekly gigs. It's not like they do have the ones where the band comes every week and but it's much less than here. They have more of these spaces where, okay, on Wednesdays we have this kind of night, but every week it's a different artist and they're doing their original music, and it's a live music, either acoustic or a band. And I think because of this, people expect to come and not like be able to sing along with the music and to discover something new. It creates that kind of atmosphere where instead of expecting I'm going to come along and be able to sing to the same songs, I'm coming because I want to listen to this music and get to know what does this person have to say. So I think that's, I don't know why it is like that, but it is. Yeah, those kind of live scenes are a bit different. And then I think also in terms of the infrastructure, there is just, like I said, there is international companies. There's also like more just like record labels, more people doing different events and things. There's a lot of everyone has this, you said your stereotypes of Nairobi. I would say, I think Kenyans are good at hustling. Yeah. So I think that, but it's also because of the nature of Nairobi being a bigger city, a busier city. And I think that, yeah, it's harder to survive. You need to work to get money because, at the end of the month, you have to pay. So I think that they have a little bit more pressure than here is a bit more affordable and people are a bit more relaxed.
Actually, you remind me, there's a TikTok that I saw whereby there was a Ugandan who was in Kenya. And she had both sides. The father was a Ugandan and then the mother was a Kenyan. And she was like, the reason, this was political. Like the reason as to why we've been ruled by one president is because we have food. Life is not as difficult. We are not fighters. We are so peaceful because we are well fed. And I was like, oh wait, like for real, and sometimes it's a blessing, but at the same time, for people that want to push themselves to a certain limit, sometimes this can be a sort of like a roadblock, because you're like, I want to go further than this. And I think if you look at an artist like Apio Moro, unless she uses, I think, Kemet, she had to go, so she can experience another country for her to, for people to actually appreciate her. And then you can see when even she comes in Uganda, like, it's like we are sleeping on her. I'm like, guys, we're not serious,
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Yeah. It's so funny of how these things are too different. And it's really so funny looking at it in the perspective of like, okay, bands are saturating the market of, underground artistry, and then in Kenya, it's, the independent underground artists doing their thing, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Wow. But I think I find like within East Africa, the independent underground alternative artists all kind of know each other more than, integrated within the country. Like the likes of the Apio Moros and what would get along a lot with the alternative artists in Kenya, like things like that more. Then it's strange because it's such a small industry. Like, because I used to live in Rwanda, I work here in Uganda and Kenya, we tour in Tanzania, but it's very frequently that we'll run into, the same circuit of people within East Africa. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So with your experience in having your master's in business innovation, where do you see the landscape of Africa as a whole? I know South Africa, they're hitting it really hard. Nigeria, like they're really doing their thing. But where do you see it in general?
I think that there is a lot of opportunities for innovation because, like I said, like especially in Uganda, the industry is still quite kind of solidifying itself, if I could say. So I did music business innovation, which is like basically finding new ways to do things in the music industry.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things that have been innovative here. Like I was just like talking with a lot of friends about the innovation of mobile money and M-Pesa. So like things like that are still innovative compared to like looking at the technologies in the Western world. So I'm like, now how do we think in those kind of ways? Like the people who founded those kind of companies, those were groundbreaking things. So now how do we apply that type of thinking and problem solving to music?
Yes. Oh wow. If you bring it into that, it's making more sense, because we are like, okay, most of us are looking to already certain innovations, meaning we have to look deep within and like, how can we make it different? But at the same time, it's still innovation.
Yeah.
Wow.
But with innovation, I think one of the things like they were always telling us is like, sometimes you want to do something that is like completely different, but sometimes the innovation really comes in fine tweaking things just a little bit. Like small changes can really make a big difference as well, instead of reinventing a whole system.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's just go to, we've been on the business side.
We have.
So let's just go to the mental health. Let's go back to the mental health side. Have you had an experience where you saw an artist, perform, and then they probably changed a fan's or a listener's, atmosphere or vibe to maybe they were sad, and then they were like, you know what, you sang to, when you sing your music, probably they're crying. Has that ever happened? Have you seen it happening?
Like in a live performance, it
Yes,
can be
live
tricky, but of course, like there's been some experiences. I think I can say in particular, like in 2024, last year, we did a tour of a show called Whispers of Power with Lee Boy. It first premiered in 2023, and the whole concept of the show, she's also talks about mental health a lot in her work, so in her lyrics, and we found this
musical, thumb piano.
Yes, the kalimba. So we had this idea. She was like, "Oh, I want to do it in an art gallery." They've invited me, and then we started building this concept of making a slightly specific performance and combining music with storytelling and dance. And we also had the visual arts in the gallery. So we did the first one at Art Gallery, and it went well. We got a lot of great feedback.
Okay.
And yeah, then we went on a tour to Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nairobi the following year. But I think that experience, like every time we kept getting feedback, even from like, because we would push the performers. So like, for example, the show we did in Nairobi, we had a guitarist. And I was like, you know what? I think it would be cool if the guitarist, we created the stories actually about mental health of artists and what we've been saying, this thing about hustle culture and feeling like you can't say no and, just like becoming inauthentic and out of alignment with yourself, all of these things. So, yeah, and one of the things we were like, okay, his story was he was a guitarist and he was always behind on his rent, and the police came to get him off stage when he was performing in the show.
Oh.
And we're like, imagine now if we put him, like we really made him act, and there was some metal cage thing. We're like, let's put him like he's going in a cell there. So even just like after it, we were talking, he was like telling me, even for him, like it felt so realistic and real to go through that thing. And someone who's normally just playing guitar now being put in the role of trying to act a bit. So not only like people who experience the show, people who, we worked and got them to tap into things that, I don't know, I think it was very cathartic to like be like, you know what, even I can act this out and it's not happening to me, and I can process, some of the pain.
Else. Yes.
But I think every edition we did of that show, because the story would change every time. We would go to a new space and we would look at the space. So when we went to Mombasa, we talked about there's a big issue of substance use disorders there. So we talked about the impact of that, and people were also very like, I think it's about, when you have stories that resonate with people, and this is why I have a background in theater as well. So this thing of using the arts to help people process things, whether it is like a catharsis where you have something internal, you need to release it, whether it's something you're aware of, but like seeing in someone else, you feel the empathy, like I'm not alone, whether it's hearing a story and getting to understand someone who's very different from you. That's why I did also performing arts and social justice. So I like, it's nice if you sing well, but if you really have something behind it that's going to change someone's life, I think it makes it incredibly powerful.
Wow. I love because I'm one person that is so passionate about creativity for mental wellness, not only just singing. And I know most cases we sing for people to be happy and to have a certain vibe, to just feel good. But sometimes we need some people to go into that wound and then pull out the wound and like, you know what, let's put some aspirin, let's put some some antibiotics on the wound, and which better way way to deal with that inner wound apart from music, because music, I believe it's so spiritual, and it deals with more than what people can see. Actually, it deals with some people, they listen to music to be calm when they feel angry, and wow, that's so amazing. So I wanted to ask like about Chipepeo and how do I know this I had to remember. I was just happy that I remembered because I think someone out there needs to hear of how maybe you integrate mental wellness and how you help artists, you know, deal with their mental wellness and their mental health and how you do it in Chipepeo. Yes.
Yeah, because Kipepeo is we do artist management, which is like a term that a lot of people don't understand, all the things that it encompasses, right?
Yeah.
So one is just like, I feel like my first role is always to be like a sounding board for my clients or artists, for them to be like, oh, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think, you know, because sometimes it's also you know, needing someone to just listen to you and to give you some feedback.
True.
But yeah, in terms of mental health in particular, I think some of the things are, having that person who, you know, there can be frustrations when you're in the industry and something happens and you need to talk to someone about it. So I play that role. It can be about, you know, helping with work-life balance and being like, okay, I'm doing, you know, some of the tasks so that you have time also to do this and you don't overstress yourself. It can be practical things like that. I usually check on my artists like, okay, not every day, but, you know, we're always talking very frequently. So it's just like, okay, what's going on with you, helping you stay on track so you don't feel like, you know, you have forgotten to do something. And having those check-ins, how are you doing, trying to help you organize things and streamline. And like sometimes artists will come with a million things because they're feeling inspired, and like being that person to be like, okay, but you're not going to be able to do all of these. So how do we prioritize? You know, sometimes you have to play the good cop, but sometimes you also have to play the bad cop, because
that's true.
The bad cop can be the one that is limiting, but in the end, it can also give you that container where you don't need to explode out of in some way. Because sometimes, people have a million things and then you end up doing none of them because you don't focus. So it can be that role of being like
how do you
accountability.
Deal with, you know, being, you know, the bad cop, the, you know, and at the same time the good cop. How do you deal with it?
I think it used to be harder for me to be the bad cop. It's something that I think I've learned. I call myself a recovering people pleaser.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah. So,
flowers.
So I think I've embraced it more as I get older, because, I mean, you also learn to do it with yourself. You learn to do it with other people. And, you know, it's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay to say, that's not going to be possible. It's okay to say we need to do this first, and you will come back to that.
Yes.
And to be, I think for me, I try to just be, I'm a really honest person. I'm a horrible liar. So that helps, because I'm just like, you know, I'm telling you the truth, and you can choose to accept it or you can choose not to. And that's it. I'm not doing it with ill intention. I'm just being realistic and telling you the truth. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing, by the way. It's a very an amazing
to our recovery.
Yeah. So you this is the most powerful thing I'm going to talk about. You empower women. And I remember one time I had a discussion about, you know, the domestic violence against women artists. What is your take? Actually, having worked across East Africa, what's your take on this? Because for Uganda we have seen, but how about like other countries? Is there like some more respect for maybe the female artists, or this is only an epidemic? It's actually a pandemic.
Yeah, it's
in Uganda.
Well. Women are underrepresented in the music industry across the globe. That's why there's a lot of initiatives now that are like really for promoting women in music. And that's because, I remember there was, I forget the exact statistics, but like the amount of records that are like female producers is one of the worst areas, like where there is the biggest discrepancy. And they were saying like only a few songs of the top 100 that were produced by female producers.
Wow.
So I think that it's about like what we were saying in the beginning, having access to role models is one thing, because it can be very challenging when you're in an industry that's dominated by men, and to feel like, you know, you really belong at this place. You know, you feel like things that I don't know, accommodations you need, they can be met. You don't feel like people are saying these subliminal sexist jokes and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a problem worldwide still. And through the initiatives of trying to uplift women, I've been very fortunate to be in different spaces which are very female centered and like full of strong women.
Wow.
So I think that's helped me a lot. And what we need to do is to keep once you get a spot, open the door for another woman and keep like, I try to prioritize working with women or also non-binary people in my company, the artists I work with. Even when I try, you know, like these tiny, I call them like the microfeminisms, right? Like just simple things of like, instead of like, if I think of an example, I'll try to think of women and just like really put that at the forefront, because I think that's it's part of the change of narrative. You have to do it a bit intentionally. And then it becomes natural.
Wow, but how can we create mentorships, or how do those programs, the mentorship programs, maybe the networking events, how are they even empowering women? Have they empowered women?
Like, okay, so I was in Perform Music Incubator by Muthoni Drama Queen, which now it is a bit more broad, but the cohort I was in, like all the artists were all female artists.
Wow.
Recently, there's been a big push for this new program from Thames, which is called, I think it's Leading Voice, which is also for women in music. I've been part of, there was this thing called Women of the Music Business by an artist from South Africa called Berita.
Okay.
I think there's actually, I think now the problem is there's so many initiatives, and I would like to see more cohesion amongst them. And maybe like if you go through this program, this would be the next step, because there could be a lot of things where you get a training for a short period of a couple of months or some workshops online, and then you're like, okay, now I've done that, I add to my CV, but what do I do now? But I think there are a lot out there. It's just, how do we find them? How do we make sure the right people get into them? Like the self-selection bias.
Okay, all right. So we've really talked a lot. I feel as if we have more to talk.
I'm like, is it our time? No, it's
we still have some more time. But then we are reaching to the episode about you maybe giving some reflections, some advice to a young artist out there, because we are doing this for you. The conversations, I know I really benefit more, obviously, but we are doing it for you guys. We're doing it for you guys. For young creatives who feel weighed down by mental health struggles in their careers, what message do you give to them?
Young creatives who feel overwhelmed with their career struggles. What message do I give to them? Okay, well, it depends how you feel overwhelmed. I remember Ras Benzema had said at the other talk, which, I've been thinking about. He said, so he said something to the likes of, if you don't think that you can survive off your arts, keep it like that for now and get another job. So that is one thing in my head, especially with the way the economy of the world is right now is quite tough, to be honest.
True.
But I think, you shouldn't just give up and completely go to another job. I think one of the things, maybe find ways to do skills that are parallel. So for example, if you're a musician, but you can also do some communications and marketing, like you already are doing your social media management for yourself, maybe you can get a job also doing that and build skills that you can later put into your own career. If you're an artist, You can do graphic design and things as well for more of the corporate side. Get the skills and see how you apply them. So maybe there are opportunities like that. Other things like getting different residencies and mentorship, fellowships, things like that. Like if you have the ability to do some of those short-term things, because one, it's something, again, like something you put on your CV and it looks like, oh, Kubusinje has been doing this and this and this, even if they are not paid gigs. But of course, it still is a privilege to be able to access those things, because some of them, they give funding. Some of them, they tell you, okay, we give you the accommodation, but you have to get your flights. You know, you have to look at what is realistic and achievable for you. The other thing would just be, keep creating and building a portfolio, whether it is, getting some music. Though, of course, there are costs, again, that you need to make. That's the challenge. But see, like, if you balance and you have a way, you have someone who can, invest some money in you, or you can work for a bit and save some money, have some set aside and say, okay, this whatever money I'm putting into this project. Because there's also a tendency to people to think like, okay, I'm here, come and give me, like, you also, it's a business and you have to build it. So get some resources that you can invest.
That's something that we forget. Like, it's a business, it has to be built. We forget that as artists, because we want to go with talent. I remember I saw a reel where someone was saying that your grit and your music, your business, knowledge will take your music far, or your artistry far, more than actually the talent.
There is, of course, there's a balance. There is the work ethic. There is the actual knowledge you have, whether that is talent or business skills. And then it's also somehow a bit of your charisma and your personality. Like when you're networking, you have to charm people. Like,
I know!
There's something about having that ability to walk in a room and just light up,
True.
So it's also a bit of luck with that. Luck and charm. Sparkly.
Tap into that. Look into the future. What is your dream for Chipepeo Agency and for healthier creative ecosystems in Uganda and East Africa?
Okay, for healthier creative systems in Uganda and East Africa, I think I talked about like having more space in the market for diversity. Not everyone has to listen to the same whatever artists are trending just because they have the numbers. Because I grew up listening to lots of alternative indie music in the US, and there's all these subcultures of different, like, people who love punk music are going to listen to this. Then I like indie folk, I'm doing this, and everyone has their audience. So if we could allow the market to get to that maturity where we don't all have to like the same thing, and it's okay.
Should be. Should be okay.
And then for Kipepeo, there's a lot of things that I'm in the process of maybe changing around, which I'm not sure I'm ready to share yet.
Okay, that's fine.
But we're going to be more international.
Wow. Tap on that. Tap on that, but you're already international.
We are, but we're going to be even more.
I feel you. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, I'm having the time of my life, by the way. I don't know if you are. So we're going to on our YouTube channel and just seeing some of the people that are watching and looking into what's going on. And thank you for listening in. Thank you for putting on in your views. Thank you for being a part of this discussion today, because this is really amazing. And right now, someone is saying that I'm happy to be here. We're happy to be here with you too. Yes. So without further ado, because time has always been something that has constrained us. We are going to our last segment. Sadly, this is really sad news.
It has flowed. It's like, what? It's already.
We've just reached literally, and we're going. The last episode, or the last segment of our discussion today, is Fun and Fury. So we have this game that we have whereby, first and foremost, the one that is fun, like we give like I give you like different questions. For example, as what do you prefer best, but then you do like it has to be like fast, you know.
No thinking, just
no thinking,
immediate.
Just get the vibe. You get the
I get you.
Okay, so now we are beginning. Number 1, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
New York hustle, East African hustle.
East African hustle.
East African hustle. If Chifepeo agency was an animal other than a butterfly, because obviously, what would it be?
Other than a butterfly?
Yes.
Some type of bird.
Because it has to fly nevertheless.
It has to move around. That's why it's a butterfly, because butterflies they move during the winter and then they go. Yeah.
Oh wow! I get the
some
vision.
Type of a bird.
Okay. Festival or intimate concerts?
I love a good festival. I won't lie.
I know.
But as I get older, I love the intimate ones more.
Yes.
I think I still go for a festival.
I know. For the festival,
I'm going to Kaleidoscope next weekend. I'm super excited in Watamu in Kenya.
Oh wow! Thanks for being up today around. Okay, so one book or film that changed how you see the world.
One book. Okay, I love existentialism philosophy, so that definitely changed my life when I read. And the one I would say the most is a book called I and Thou by Martin Buber.
Okay.
And it's basically a whole way of seeing, like, you either see someone as what they can do for you or see them as their own entity with the whole life and existence for people, for animals, for things.
Oh wow!
So actually, it totally changed the way I see. That's why it's
just even you explaining it. It even takes me to feminism of how women want to be viewed as actually individuals.
Exactly, not a commodity. Or like I see a tree and it's just there existing for a long time. It's not only like, oh, I can cut it down and have firewood. You know, things like that as well.
Wow, I need to read that book.
Yeah.
When you're feeling drained, what's your go-to self-care ritual?
I have a few. I'm very big on like exercise and yoga and movement. So I love like going to the gym, going to Pilates, going to yoga, walking, swimming, or anything like that. Wow. The other that if I'm low energy physically would be reading. I'm also a really big reader. Yeah.
You don't do like the skincare.
I also love skin. I do. I have skincare. I have cooking.
Yes.
I have cats, so I love hanging with my cats.
Just
Yeah. So I have
dopamine
so many. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And sometimes they can be combined. Like I do a face mask with my cat and a book.
Oh wow. Oh, it's nice as you imagine. If your life journey had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh God, that one is hard. What would my son? You know what was it? On Tinder they had you put those theme songs. I put Fetch Your Life by Musaki. I don't know if you know the song.
By Musaki.
Is your life gonna be life? Ain't nobody living out here. Be someone who's living out here.
That's a chorus.
Yeah.
Oh God, you should send it to me.
So I think, for a while, it's like, that's a nice message. Like, go and fetch your life.
Yes, that's true. That's true, by the way. One quirky or fun fact most people don't know about you. Spread the tea. Give us the tea.
One quirky or fun fact about me. What quirky? I don't know. I think I'm very quirky, but I think most people know that I'm quirky.
So there's nothing to hide today.
What is quirky that people don't know about me? I really don't know. My fun fact is that I first flew on a plane when I was 4 months old, but I don't think it's a quirky fact. But that's why I love flying. I love going. I love flying when I'm alone as well. I love like the process of going to the airport and being in the plane, and
it's soothing for you.
Yeah, I think because I was a baby, so it just feels like natural and you disconnect from your phone.
Wow. Tell me about that. I need
to know. My grandmother is from Finland. Okay. So we have a lot of family there. So when I was born, my parents were like, oh, we would take the baby to see all the family there. So we went when I was a baby and 4 months old. And actually just recently he's my great uncle, the cousin to my mom. He sent me an old home video that they had digitized of like that summer when we went to visit when I was a baby. So it was really cute to see.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I think that because of that now it just
love
feels like
it.
natural to be on a plane. I don't get like, I know like some
falling,
people get so
yeah.
anxious and they're afraid of the turbulence and what, and me I'm just like, okay, it's chill.
What's that? What's that?
So I just became acclimated to the air.
Wow. If you had to sum up your philosophy of life in 3 words, what would they be?
3 words. 3 words is too little, but my favorite quote is let the beauty we love be what we do, from Rumi. So that is what I say is my life philosophy.
Wow, let the beauty that we love
be what we do.
Be what we do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Tap in that.
Rumi, it's not me.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I love that quote.
It's a beautiful one. It's more like how someone says you practice what you preach or something. Wow, that's beautiful. And Maya, we're coming to the end of our discussion. Oh, why should it happen like this?
Why?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are finally closing down the show today at Harmony of Minds podcast. Please listen to our engagement on Living Arts, our YouTube channel, and we shall be very happy to see more of you just, engaging with us. We're going to share more about this, and we are very pleased to see you. Have a wonderful week ahead. See you next week on Wednesday. Yes, Maya, can you please say bye-bye to them?
Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.